You know, a lot of you guys out there think living in the country is so great, you know, because you got all this land, it's so peaceful out here. But I'm going to tell you this, guys, I felt the same way. I thought that living in the country was going to be awesome. I bought a Georgia country home on 20 acres. And I tell you, I was so happy when I bought that property. But then after living there for less than a year and ended up selling the property and moving back to the city, I'm going to tell you why. And I'm going to tell you the ugly truth of living in the country. Your mouth shoulder look pretty, boy. What you doing around here? You ain't from around these parts, boy.
Let's go for a ride. Subscribe today.
It's funny, I'm back at the site here of where I took my bug out van out here in this field and I got stuck. I tell you, that was a nightmare, man. I don't know if some of you guys remember that, man. I had to get some truck claws to get me out of that mud. I tell you, that was kind of a little taste of a country life. I'll tell you this, guys, is that I'm glad that I did live in the country. And I'll tell you, I'm not knocking country life because it has a lot of benefits. It is quiet and peaceful and really nice folks down there that are fake, by the way. I'll get into that in a moment. Some people are fake. There's some genuine, really nice folks down in the country. So don't get me wrong. I'm not hating on all country folks or anything. Like I tell you, I may end up buying another country property in the future or something. But I want you to know, because I experienced it. I want to share with you, because I know some of you guys had the dream like I did about, you know, getting a nice country property on your own acreage and living off-grid and all that fantasy stuff that people sell you on YouTube as being so awesome, you know. And it is great in that aspect where you can be self-sustaining on your own land. But I'm going to tell you this, guys. The number one ugly truth about living in the country is that it's not always all that peaceful, because they allow hunting on your land. Is that you will hear gunshots. I don't know if you ever heard of a gunshot that's so loud. when it's like in your area and you hear that gunshot, it's loud and alarming. It scares you. You're like, you know, and don't get me wrong, guys, because I had set up a gun range on my property. They told me ahead of time. He said, man, we all shoot around here. That's what they told me. And I said, yeah, that's awesome. I want to do it too. I'm going to set up. I was so excited with the little range I had on my property, that little homemade range. But when you actually go live out there and you hear these gunshots, I'm telling you, man, you be ducking. You be like, you be wanting to get on the ground, like hope there ain't a stray shot or something, man. And I had this neighbor that he drank. You could smell liquor on his breath a mile away. And this dude was out there shooting. And I tell you, man, I was like, I don't trust this dude, man. If you want to get my gear like this ultra lightweight carbon fiber helmet with auto tint shield, my favorite helmet, motovlog camera, airbag vest to help keep you safe. All of my gear, I always include links in the description and comment section of my videos. Another ugly truth is that you will be bombarded with bugs. Lots of bugs, especially if you live, if it's down south like in Georgia or Florida or something where I was in Georgia. I was in middle Georgia, and I tell you, the bugs pretty much ran me out of there. That's one of the biggest reasons why I left country life. I had red ants everywhere out there in that field. I was battling all the time. And get this, even worse is I had black devil scorpions, an infestation in my house, man. That's something that I was never told. Scorpions. I was like, in Georgia? Where the heck do you get scorpions in Georgia? I thought that was out in Arizona, man. So I was paranoid. Anytime I went to the bathroom, I wake up in the middle of the night or something, I had to go bathroom or something. I used to keep my slippers on the nightstand, on the table. Like I would keep my feet up because I was always worried I was going to step on one of them scorpions. But I was able to put some boric acid all around the house, and I pretty much got rid of them. But and then it was these carpenter bees that want to tear up your house. And then it was these great big cockroaches that came in, man. I'm telling you. And then you had some rabid animals sometimes you deal with. But worse than all that, because I mean the bugs that comes with nature. Don't get me wrong, man. I love nature. I love the woods. I love all that. But I'm telling you, when you live out there, it's a different story, though. You know what I'm saying? You can have bugs in your house here in the city. So don't get me wrong. But out in the country, it's tenfold. But I'll tell you, another ugly truth is the trees. Them pine trees, especially in Georgia, them tall pine trees drop like matchsticks. I'm telling you, it's scary. You walk on your trails on your property, and it's scary, man, that those things snap like in zero, like out of nowhere, boom, and it comes down so fast that if you're in the wrong place at the wrong time, that tree gonna smash you and kill you, man. It happened one time with me. I went in there and it was close to me, but it wasn't next to me. And I said, man, I could have been right under that tree, and it snapped. Now to set me up for a real effed up day. And also, with these trees falling down all the time, you got to do more work, man. You're married to a chainsaw. And also, you got to cut acres and acres of grass, which I knew that going in, you know what I'm saying? But when you actually do it yourself, and you have to do it, otherwise your place looks like crap. And also, another thing I didn't like is, these small rural towns are gossipy, man. I'm telling you, you got to be careful on who you talk to and what you tell them. Because when you tell them, by that, within a couple of days, that whole little town will know your business. What you told that one neighbor. And they go around and they run their mouth, like I said, very gossipy, man. I didn't like that. That's one thing I like about living in the city, is that, you know what I'm saying, everybody pretty much minds their own business, and you tell a friend, it's not a big deal. But when you're out in the country, man, they got nothing else to do. You have to understand that. They got nothing else. They don't really do. It's boring out there. That's another ugly truth about the country life. Boring as hell. It was cool at first, don't get me wrong, man. But it became very boring because, and that's another ugly truth, is you're 30 minutes to an hour away from the stores and stuff. Action. So, and when you go ride out, I don't know if you guys been out in the country, but doing 30 minutes, a 30-minute drive through the country feels like eternity, man. Because there's nothing to look at but farmland for 30 minutes. That's why I hate going through Kansas when I'm heading over to the West Coast or something, man. Because I tell you, go through Kansas is the most boring drive ever, looking at flatlands. And I tell you, I was so sick of having to commute like 30 minutes to an hour to go to the stores and stuff like that. Because my little town didn't have jack nothing, man. They had these little resale shops that had a bunch of junk in it. And another thing about the country is there's a lot of, I don't know about here in Ohio in the country, because I never lived in Ohio in the country, but down south in Georgia, I'm telling you, they got this fake southern charm, man. A lot of them out there. I'm telling you, some of them people, man, I learned it from a friend of mine who was born and raised in Alabama, and she told me, if anybody ever tells you bless your heart, they're not coming, it's a mean thing to say. You know what I'm saying? They're talking smack. They're talking down to you when they say bless your heart. And I had a neighbor that said that to me, and I thought about what she said, and I said, you know what, that sucker, he said bless your heart to me, man. That dirty rotten scoundrel. Yeah, a lot of people I find is fake out there, and also I find it to be, at least down in Georgia and in rural towns, very segregated, man. And a lot of uncouth people down there, man. I had a neighbor in the back of me. When I made a trail to the back of my property and I went back there, I found out that I had a neighbor that had a junkyard. He had all this junk toilets in my yard on my land. And the guy, when I met him, his wife could barely speak English. It sounded like she never went to school. I tell you, man, I've seen like in Deliverance, that movie Deliverance, and movies like that, but I've never realized that there's really people out there like that, man, that probably never went to school in their life. They're like feral people that came from the woods. She could barely speak English, man. And I'm not joking, guys. I'm serious. It was sad. They were spewing off like racist stuff and like just talking. Like, I was like, what's wrong with these people, man? Very uncouth people, man. I'll tell you. And that's another thing, is that I used to hate HOAs, guys. I used to hate them. Because they always, you got to follow the rules, you got to do this, that, they want uniformity in the neighborhood, they want everybody's property looking nice, but you don't appreciate that until you go live out in the country, guys. Because I'm telling you, those people, some of these country people will make junkyards, just put old raggedy cars all up in the front yard, toilets, they don't care because nobody's getting after them. There's no restrictions in some of those areas. Where I was, there was no restrictions, so people did what they wanted to do. I was like, man, this country life ain't all it's cracked up to be, man. I'll be honest with you guys. Now I know some of you guys are gonna come at me and like, CycleCruza, you're a city boy, you're not gonna know how, you can't appreciate the country life and all that. Trust me, I love the country. I was a Boy Scout. I loved it. I almost became an Eagle Scout. I love the woods. I love the countryside, rolling hills. And I love country people. Don't get me wrong. There's some good country people out there. But I'm telling you, though, is that overall, the convenience that you have in the city, and I live in a city not far from the country, so I can always, down the street from me, I got the metro parks. I can go ride on miles of trails in the woods there, bike paths. And like I said, I got other country, I can go see country properties and country areas right down the street from me, man, anytime I want to. But I'm like 15 minutes to the airport. I got close to a mall. I got everything near me. And you don't appreciate the convenience of having stuff close to you until you live out in the country, man, seriously. Especially if your car breaks down, you got to figure out how to find somebody to try to fix it. Oh man, I didn't have that problem because my car didn't break down, but I'm just saying, I couldn't imagine if my car did break down. I would have a hard time, getting groceries and stuff. Another cool thing about the city is that I can have groceries delivered at my door, which I love that. I love that convenience. I hate shopping, man. And it saves me time. I end up getting the same crap all the time anyhow. So I hate going, and that's another thing. You go into the country supermarket.
In the country hoods, the worst grocery store you can go to is the Piggly Wiggly. It's like taking a step back in the time into the 80s, and not in a good way. No organic stuff, old meat. Hey man, make sure there's an Ingles nearby if you're moving to the country.
And then they're gossiping, gossiping, and then people ask you why you bought this and why you bought that. I mean, I was like, really? If I ever do buy another country property, I don't want any neighbors. But that brings up another ugly truth about the country, though, because if you don't have any neighbors, it makes it easier for you to get robbed. And they rob people out there in the country, man, because ain't gonna be anybody around to see it. Another big problem with country life is trespassers. So many people have problems with trespassers in the country, man. And what can you do? You post the signs, you know what I'm saying? You tell them to get off your property. But I'm telling you, if you tell them that, it'll piss them off and they'll keep coming back your property even more. Woo! Yeah, baby. On the MT-07. Another ugly truth about the country is substance abuse. There's a lot of people out there because it's so boring out there. They have nothing else to do. Is they abuse substances out there of various sorts, and then next thing you know, they do stuff. They have to go rob people to pay for their habit, and people out in the country are easy to rob because there ain't nobody around to report it. And a lot of times they're second homes, So people go in there, you know, because they're not there. The other people are in another state or something like that. So it's easy pickings. So I say overall, guys, understand this, but a lot of you guys gonna have to learn the hard way like I did. Like I said, I love the country. I may end up getting another country property again, but I know all the cons. And I'll tell you, I don't know, man. I appreciate the city, like I said. Leave a comment below. What do you guys think, man? You think these are valid points that I'm making? I love talking with you guys in the comments. And like I said, no hate to the country, because I love country music. I love the country. I love the woods. You know how I am. You know, so, but there's cons to everything, and there's loads of cons to living in the country. It is what it is. But I'm out here on my MT-07, baby. But anyways, guys, make sure to hit thumbs up, hit the subscribe button, hit that little bell symbol so you get notified when my new videos are released. But I release new videos every Sunday, Tuesday, and Thursday at 11:30 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. And I'm always there the first couple of hours to talk with you guys. So make sure to leave a comment when I first release a video. I appreciate all you guys. So until next time, catch you guys later.
Check out my playlist for new riders and popular videos. Don't forget to comment and subscribe, and check out my other channel, Bug Out Moto, where I customize a van for my motorcycle so I can live in my van with my motorcycle and travel across the country anywhere. Subscribe to my YouTube channel, Bug Out Moto.